What's going on, guys? It's Khaos Rx here and welcome to episode number 7, I believe this is, of the Road to Chromia on Call of Duty World War 2. Today's episode we are covering the SMGs. It's a bit weird that we left this class so late, but honestly it was just kind of like something to look forward to. And like when you're getting slapped, like while using pistols, you know, eventually you just like give in and just do pull out an SMG. So quite a good tip already off the bat. Save your SMGs to last. If you're getting dominated while using like a pistol or something and you need to pull out an SMG, you know, at least you're still making progress to the camo, which is like a good tip. So in this game, we've got quite a lot of submachine guns, to be fair, especially with the DLC. There's 20 SMGs in this game altogether, with DLC included. That's huge. Like, that's 20 different weapons, and they're all somewhat unique. I will admit, like, a few of them are quite similar. Like the Sten is very similar to the Type, and the also is very similar to the Tommy. And a lot of the guns are very similar to the PPSH. However, you know, 20 SMGs. It's so weird that this game had no content on release, and now it does. Anyway, let's get into the first SMG here, which is the greasy gun. So the grease gun here is a bit weird of a gun. It's got very high damage and quite, like, it does have quite a lot of recoil, to be fair to it. And it does also have like incredible range, but very slow fire rate. It's kind of like a submachine gun version of the Man-O-War in effect, I guess, where it's got like bouncy recoil, but it's got very good damage and very good range. So on it, we've currently got grip, rapid fire, and advanced rifling. I think those are your best attachments, because as I mentioned, the fire rate is quite low, so rapid fire is always quite helpful. And as also I mentioned, the recoil is quite bouncy, so the grip's nice. And then advanced rifling to extend the already very nice range. And then the rest of the class is kind of like just the basic, trying to get V2 rocket class. The resistance is a really good division, and then forage, if you're playing solo or if you're playing with a friend who's running UAVs, I go with specialist. That really depends on you. If you do not like the resistance kind of scrambler, because I know a lot of people don't like that, I'd swap that out for armoured. I do somewhat prefer armoured. It kind of depends on the map. But yeah, with the grease gun here, I'm a fan of it. However, I feel like with a lot of the SMG in this game, they are outclassed by DLC variants. For example, the Ruby Rolex or the Sterling. Both they slow firing, 3-shotting, good range SMGs. And I'm kind of a bit annoyed that they did that, where they literally took the guns, like the default weapons, and just made better versions of them, like strictly better versions. Like the Sterling is like just a better version of the grease gun. It has lower recoil, better rate of fire, and the same like bullets to kill. So a little bit kind of douchey, but they did that. But you know, getting DLC weapons in this game is quite quick anyway, so you know, just get it if you like it. Alright, so the next up was the MLG gun of choice. This is the PPSH. This was the like MLG gun for the SMG players of World War 2. So this was Stump's go-to, for example. And to be fair, I'm not the biggest fan of it, I'm not going to lie, in terms of how much everyone else is a fan of it. To say I'm not a fan of it makes it seem like I don't like it. I do like it, however, not as much as everyone else. Now, I does really like SMG, so it probably would have been better if he talked about it. However, you know, it's the PPSH. It's good, it's iconic. However, the thing that kind of bums me out about the PP is we all love the PP for two things: rate of fire and the noise that it makes when you fire it, all the way back in World War, obviously. And this thing has none. Like, to be fair, this gun, if it wasn't called PPSH and didn't look like it, you wouldn't be able to tell, because it does not fire quick like the old PP. It doesn't sound like the old PP. Even the iron sights of this PPSH are nothing like the old PP, which is really weird, because the WAF, for example, which we'll talk about in a minute, is very similar to the World War PPSH, where it has that really iconic noise and that really high rate of fire. However, the PPSH, like in this game, like the actual PP, they're weird. For the class though, we've got grip, quick draw, and then we do have rapid fire. I think those are your best attachments. Sadly, no drum. I guess everyone kind of default goes to the drums on the PP just because it's the iconic look from zombies. However, to be fair, it's not that practical. And the rate of fire, like I mentioned, is not that good. So, well, not good. It's not PPSH levels of good like you expect. But yeah, and then the rest of the class remains the exact same. And the next one we've got to talk about here is the Type 100. This was Korean Savage's choice of weaponry, because it's very good in hardcore. However, once again, it is outclassed by some of the DLC SMGs. On the Type here, we've got extended mags, rapid fire, and advanced rifling. Rapid fire is definitely a need must, because this gun fires incredibly slow. However, it does have very low recoil and really good range. So, you know, you do not need rapid fire. I mean, you do not need grip. However, advanced rifling to extend that, And then because we've got rapid fire, you might as well throw on extender mags. I guess instead of extender mags, you could have quick draw. That could also be a good shout, just because, you know, like I said, the fire rate's not that quick. Maybe you don't need extended. But yeah, the Type 100 here, it's kind of trying to be like a Peacekeeper or Razorback or K-Bar, I guess, where it's kind of like in between an assault rifle and an SMG. However, unlike those weapons which I mentioned, well, unlike the Peacekeeper and the K-Bar, kind of similar to the Razorback, it's not that good. Can't do what it's trying to do, which is compete with ARs at mid-range while still being able to compete with SMGs up close. Because up close this thing gets outgunned by SMGs, and at mid-range it gets outgunned by assault rifles consistently. It's not like the K-Bar or the Peacekeeper, where, you know, that thing can outgun SMGs up close and it can compete with assault rifles at medium range. This thing can't, so it's kind of weird. However, it is still good because of those things. It's a versatile SMG, and like I said, in hardcore it is good. However, if you like the Type 100, let me introduce you to the Sten, because the Sten is just better in every way. So yeah, give the Sten a look if you like the type. It's actually in the shop today. Alright, so next up we have got the WW2. This was my favourite gun in the beta, because this thing's a beast in the beta. Then again, a lot of these SMGs, well, 2 of these SMGs, and one which we'll talk about soon, were beast in the beta. And the WW still kind of is. It just never got talked about for some strange reason. I guess because people started to care about KD, and I recall the guns are not your best bet for that. So with the WW here, this is the bullet hose SMG, which is a bit weird that that's not the job of the PPSH, because what the WW is based on, the MP28, is a very slow firing gun in real life. Very similar to the Trencher from Infinite Warfare, or if you've ever played Battlefield 1, it's in that game. It's a very slow firing, high damage SMG. So I felt like this should have been the PP, and the PP should have been this, just because they just switched. They're in the wrong models. This could have definitely been the slower fire rate, however, medium recoil SMG. But on it we've got extender mags and grip. Those are just necessary, you need those. And then we've also got steady aim, because this thing can absolutely beam from the hip. So yeah, this thing, I really like this thing on shipment. The class is actually different for this. On it we've got armoured and escalation, because this is a shipment class, I would say. The problem I have with the WW, however, is at this point, because like what you're doing is basically just running around hip firing, you might as well just run a shotgun. In the background here, I'm actually shredding with it. I wasn't a fan of this thing, and then I went in and just shredded with it. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's good. It's up to you. If you like fast firing SMGs like the Vesper and the Spitfire, I like the WW, but I'm not a fan. Alright, and coming up next we have got the Tommy gun, or the M1928. One of the biggest disappointments coming from the beta was how they massacred Tommy gun. This thing, if you played the beta, was the best gun in there, without a doubt. However, coming from beta to the full game, this thing got massacred. It just got hit hard with recoil and these horrible iron sights. So the iron sights on this thing are just horrible. And yeah, it's kind of, once again, not at all like the Tommy gun in World of War, which is a bit weird. It's more like the Tommy gun in Zombies. However, it doesn't look like that until you get like a variant like the Wilco, or this beautiful variant we have here, the Handler. So if you get a variant like that, then it does look like the Tommy gun in Zombies. However, if you get the default variant, it just looks like Tommy gun from World of War, which was kind of slow, hit hard. However, in this game, this is kind of like a fast firing SMG with high recoil. However, the WW does kind of do that better, in my opinion. Like, it does have harsher recoil, but it also fires a lot faster, and does have more bullets. Well, 3 more bullets, but still more bullets. And yeah, that's kind of Tommy gun's big disadvantage. Plus the WW has really nice iron sights. This thing's iron sights are actually one of the worst out of all the SMGs. I think this thing has some horrendous iron sights. And once again, I feel like it's just outdone by other SMGs, which we had later. The MP44, the Weissfacker, and the Austin, the Beschwitz. All 3 of those just do this gun better. They are fast firing, however they have much nicer iron sights, especially the EMP, and much lower recoil. So there's really no use for the Tommy gun. I feel like I'm saying that a lot. Every SMG got outdone by a DLC variant. It's very hard to find a gun in this game, like pretty much any gun in this game, which wasn't outdone. But then getting to my personal favourite SMG. Now this might be coming from somebody as a bias, as somebody who played a lot of Zombies back in the day, you know. But the MP40. So the MP40 here is such a good gun in this game, and so underrated for some weird reason. No one talked about this thing, and no one does talk about it. On it we've got extended mags, rapid fire and advanced rifling. This thing does not need grip because it has very low recoil. It does not need quick draw because it's an SMG and ADS is fast already. It is a beauty. I just wish we had better variants for it, to be honest. Like, this thing has great range, great damage, great recoil, great iron sights. It's the classic MP40 iron sights. They're not weird like the PPSHs. It's just a classic. Like, the MP40 is great in this game. I wish the sound was a little bit similar to the World at War sound. You know, I get why they didn't just go out and match it. But yeah, that's I've kind of ruined the listing, but that's my favourite SMG. I'm disappointed that we never got a V2. However, we actually didn't get a V2 with any of the default SMGs in the game. Kind of sums it up. The only SMGs we've got V2s with are the Sten, the Austin, and the Irma. And that's it. Adzi did, I think, get a PPSH V2 rocket. However, footage of that has been lost to time. So yeah. Getting to the rating, even though I kind of did ruin it, I would have to say sadly the worst SMG is the Tommy gun. It's just high recoil, horrible iron sights, and it's just done out better by the WAF. And then default SMGs, I mean DLC SMGs. So yeah, sad that the Tommy gun, an iconic World at War weapon, is kind of crappy, and it was a beast in the beta, but the recoil combined with horrible iron sights, that's just a combo you do not want. And I love how it says in the description, moderate recoil. No, high recoil for the Tommy, which is weird and all, because this thing has variants which have grips built in. Next up, I would then have to say the WAF, because the problem with the WAF is once again its recoil. And like I mentioned, at this point, if you build it how it's best to be built, you are pretty much using a shotgun. And another thing with the WAF is 100% its range. Its range is pitiful. Another problem with the WAF, in my opinion, I think the main problem with the WAF is a problem we've discussed a lot in this series, which is you can't build it well enough. You kind of need a lot more attachments. You kind of want escalation, and then you need forage because you're burning for ammo. But then, you know, you also want lightweight, whatever the lightweight equivalent in this game is. I'm not too sure what it's called, or airborne if you want an airborne. So it kind of suffers from a lot of things. Energetic is just coming to my head now. But it's one of those guns which just suffers. You can't build it well enough. If you could take a bunch of basic trainings and just be zipping around the map with like a bunch of ammo and reloading with escalation, that'd be great. However, you can't. Next up, I would then have the type. The problem I have with the type is, like I said, the job it's trying to do, it does not do. However, it can still work. However, like I mentioned, if you like the type, introduce yourself to the Sten or the Austin. Pi 100 is good. However, I feel like the other SMGs which are left are better than it, both up close and at medium range, which is where this thing is trying to shine. So yeah, let's move on. So next up, I would then have the Grease Gun. Definitely the best ranged SMG, despite its recoil. It definitely outguns the Pi 100 at range and up close because of its 3-shot kill potential. The highest damage SMG in the game. And yeah, this Grease Gun, I really like this Grease Gun. It reminds me somewhat of the MP40 a little bit from World of War, a little bit, just because of the very high recoil and the very high damage. The problem I have with it is simply just its recoil. It's a bouncy and a strange. Like, it's just, I don't know, some days I can just pop with it, and some days I just can't, and it's kind of disappointing. Plus, like I said, the Sterling just outclasses. Alright, so next up we have got the PPSH, what everyone will probably put as number 1. Like I said, even though I don't rate it as well as everybody else do, I still do rate it. PPSH has great, just everything, kind of similar to our number 1 spot, which is why it was the MLG gun of choice. Because the other guns in this game that we've mentioned so far have been somewhat, they've not been good at everything, whereas PPSH is a jack of all trades. It has good iron sights, even though they're not the PPSH's iconic iron sights. It has good rate of fire, it has good magazine size, it has good damage, it has good recoil, good range. It's just good at everything. It's one of those guns which you can actually build to be good in this game, which is a rarity. And here it is, the PPSH. It was just good at everything, and in a game where you can be good at some things and terrible at others, I think people would rather take a gun which is good at everything instead of outstanding at something but garbage at anything else, which is what a lot of guns try to do. So, like for example the WAF, outstanding rate of fire, terrible recoil. Type, outstanding recoil, there is no recoil, terrible rate of fire. Kind of like the opposite. But at number 1, we have got the MP40, as I did spoil. Now this might be biased, however, I feel like this thing just does what the PPSH is doing. Good at everything, like the PPSH, however, I think it does everything better than the PPSH. I feel like it has better iron sights, I feel like it has better damage. Well, it does have better damage, that's a fact. Rate of fire, I'm not too sure. I'd probably say, yeah, the PPSH does probably have a better rate of fire. However, the range, I definitely feel the MP40 has it. Yeah, I said the MP40 and the PPSH are probably the best two, simply because they are good at everything. And everything else in this game, SMG wise, just seems to be outstanding at something, and then really bad at something else. So I'd rather have these two guns which are good at everything. However, it doesn't matter, because the DLC SMGs in this game are just way better. There's some really good ones. I'm not going to talk about them all today. I'm going to mention these more in the next video when we talk about like the top 5 weapons. There's one which is definitely better than all of them, and that is the Irma EMP. So this thing, beauty of a weapon. Really wish we had some of the variants, but we don't. But with the Irma, the things with the Irma is, number one, like I was saying before, everything is done well. However, like I said with the MP40 when comparing it to the PPSH, everything is done well, but better than the MP40. So for example, it fires faster than the MP40, it does more damage than the MP40, it has better range than the MP40, it does feel like a better version of the MP40, and it's just, I don't know, I just love the Irma. This is Adam's favourite weapon too. Once again, I'm sure we probably got him to talk about it. A beautiful weapon. The Irma, by far the best gun. It's such a shame that you cannot buy any variants for this thing. Well, spend your salvage on any of the variants, which is such a shame, because there's some beautiful ones. The Serpentine 2, gorgeous. The Deathwing, the original Deathwing, I wish you could get the 2, but the Epic Deathwing, once again, really nice. And then the Kiwi, not nice, it's lovely. The original Irma, beautiful. Hopefully we'll get Chrome Fit soon. I think we're close, but I don't think we can be asking like the challenges, the divisions. If you're wondering why my voice sounded really weird there, really weird. I'm eating a piece of chocolate. For the class setup with the Irma then, we'll quickly talk about it. Grip, quick draw, rapid fire, and you're set. Just go for it. Yeah, best SMG, default MP40. Best SMG out of all of them, Irma EMP. So yeah, that has been episode 7 of the Road to Chrome. So next episode is actually the final. In that video, because the last thing we left was the launchers, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about some crappy launchers. What I'm going to do is top 5 worst guns, top 5 best guns, and that's going to be it really. I'm going to showcase it a bit, the Chrome camo, because the variants looks really nice, and on most of the guns it looks really shit. So yeah, that's been the video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you want to see the final, subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one.